Hey guys, what is up? Chris here with Cohesive Friendship Unit, just me today. This is going to be marking about the 1 year mark of owning an Oculus Quest for me. Bought it pretty much on day one, and this is my 1 year later Oculus Quest review. Has it held up? Has the hardware held up? Has the software library matured? And yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to be talking about. There's no question that the Quest is a breakout success for Oculus, still frequently sold out a year later. And yeah, I think what's going to be important about this particular video is talking about how it's held up over the course of a year and what new features have been added since launch. So if you're interested in more VR content, please consider subscribing. We do VR content as well as all video game content. We pretty much cover everything that we possibly can. And let us know down below if you're thinking about getting a Quest, what VR headset you're using, how you're feeling about the Oculus Quest, and if you found this video helpful, please consider throwing us a like. So let's start with the hardware. This is a 72Hz OLED screen with inside-out tracking featuring 4 cameras, excellent touch controllers, and a few drawbacks from audio and comfort. So let's start with that 72Hz screen. When Oculus kind of did their original Kickstarter video in 2012, they mentioned that 90Hz was the bare minimum. It appears that that is not the case anymore, as they have reduced their standard down to 72Hz, and I personally have no issue with 72Hz. Yeah, it is better to run at a higher resolution, but as long as the frame times are good and consistent on that 72Hz display, like there's no jittering, I've found that it is as good or not good at giving me VR sickness. I get VR sickness on all the headsets still, so as long as I know what I'm doing and use teleport locomotion, or I just have to be prepared. Point being, 72Hz has not increased my likelihood for VR sickness. Next are those inside-out tracking. So Oculus Quest uses 4 cameras. Since the Quest has launched, there have been a number of Windows Mixed Reality and HTC products that feature inside-out tracking, as well as the Oculus Rift S, which uses 5 cameras for inside-out tracking. I find this to be as good, if not maybe even slightly better, than the Oculus Rift S, just in my personal experience. Maybe it's the position of the cameras, maybe it's the extra software support that the Quest seems to be getting over the Rift S, but this is the pinnacle of tracking. I am a particular stickler for tracking being good. It's one of the reasons I did not like my PSVR as much as I had hoped I would. And the fact that this tracking is very good to great, using no extra wires. You don't have to set up base stations, you don't have to run USB ports out of your computer, you don't have to use additional wall power. Tracking just works. It works extremely well. It works in a variety of rooms at a variety of light levels, and the system will actually remember a number of setups. So if you move from your living room to your office or your basement or whatever, you won't have to reset up your tracking, and that's really helpful, really handy, super good. Best iteration of inside-out tracking I've seen is on the Oculus side, and it is only getting better, truly. Next, I want to talk about those excellent touch controllers. It's a happy medium from a price to performance perspective over the Valve Index controllers. I mean, those cost, the controllers alone for the Valve Index almost cost as much as the Quest itself. These controllers, they give you all the buttons you need, all the thumbsticks you need, and while your fingers aren't tracked per se, all of the buttons are capacitively picked up on. If your thumb is resting on a button, then the system knows that your thumb's resting on a button. So in a way, a number of your fingers are sort of being tracked, if you will, and for me, it's just the right amount. I do wish that there was like a little hand strap or something so that you could fully release your hands like the Knuckles controllers. You can mod that for yourself pretty easily. Speaking of modding, let's talk about the worst part of the hardware, the audio and the comfort of the device. The audio is kind of just piped down along the band of the headset, and it is serviceable, but it is not great. In VR, it's, if you're spending all this time and all this money and moving your furniture around so that you can be the most immersed, it seems a little silly that you would skimp on audio, which is the, easiest technology to immerse yourself with, right? Like, we've had good headphone solutions for decades now, and it's a little disappointing. I guess the flip side to this is you can hear ambient noise if you need to, because you don't have things cupping your ears. That being said, this is the worst audio solution in a VR headset I've used, with the exception of PSVR, I guess, because you're kind of just using the TV if you're not using headphones that you supply yourself or those little earbuds that it comes with. As for the comfort, this is also the least comfortable VR headset I have used. You really have to figure out what works best for you. Some people it works better for than others. I mean, all I'll say is I can play this for 3 hours at a time, but it is not as comfortable as wearing something like the Oculus Rift S. That being said, really it's just front heavy, and this is another thing that can be modded fairly easily. Even just something as simple as a counterweight can do it. And it's not that the audio or the comfort is a deal breaker, it's just if you were really on the fence between a Rift S and a Quest, well, the Rift S is more comfortable. The audio isn't much better, but it is more comfortable. Maybe that's a deal breaker for you. I don't know. But there's plenty of mods out there to resolve both these issues, one of which isn't even really a mod. You just plug in your own headphones and your problems are solved from an audio standpoint. Let's talk about software. So what's kind of impressive to me with software is at launch it was a reasonably strong launch, right? And there were some what you might call killer apps for VR, like Journey of the Gods, which still, in my opinion, holds up. And over time, there have been some truly impressive things. Vader Immortal has gotten more support with episodes 1 through 3. Arizona Sunshine, the full game, has launched. And then there's some tried and true great VR experiences out there, like Super Hot VR, Space Pirate Trainer, Richie's Plank Experience, and the list really goes on. This is all, with the exception of some very high and demanding VR apps that you would never expect to come over, like something like a Fallout VR, which really requires some significant modding to make it really worth it, and Half-Life Alyx. I'd say most of the ground that you'd want covered is covered here. You have MMORPGs like Orbis VR Reborn. You have longer single-player experiences like Moss, like Arizona Sunshine, like Vader Immortal if you bundle all the episodes, with fairly high production value. But where I think, and you have some graphical showcases like Red Matter, but where I think that this kind of excels as a platform is for arcadey experiences. And I think honestly that's just kind of where VR is excelling at the moment in general. Some examples of those experiences would be something like Pistol Whip, something like Beat Saber, something like Job Simulator, something like 11 Table Tennis, where you're just, or Fruit Ninja VR, where you're just popping in and you're playing for 30 minutes, maybe even getting some exercise. All that said, I have been extremely impressed with the growth of the library, and I find myself buying more arcade games or games that aren't graphical showcases on the Quest, and because I'm using the Link, I am buying more intense experiences on, like Arizona Sunshine. I tend to buy those on my PC or Vader Immortal. Overall, software is extremely good, and you could definitely have plenty of software to play with the Quest alone, not using the Oculus Link. But let's talk about some enhancements, new enhancements that have come out since the launch of the Oculus Quest. And all in all, I just want to say right off the bat, this has been one of the best supported pieces of hardware that I've seen in quite a long time, and I think that's partially because of the runaway success, but there have just been some literal dream features that have just been added. A lot of it is quality of life stuff, but really good quality of life stuff, like something as simple as being able to type on the keyboard with both controllers. That was not available at launch. That's in there now. Adding more virtual environments for your home space is also nice to have, but the two key things have been hand tracking and Oculus Link. Hand tracking is kind of in its infant stages. It works really, honestly, it's really great for just navigating menus when you don't want to fumble around and find your controller. You can just use your hands to go through the menus, no problem, while you get your controller set up. There are games that are coming out, there are demos that are out now. It seems like in the coming months there will be a lot more full VR games with hand tracking, and that's actually really exciting. I'm really excited to see what happens there, because I think the more you can reduce the friction between the player and virtual reality, a la like controllers, will one, reduce the ultimate cost of the device. If, you know, in the distant future there are no more controllers in VR, it's all just done with hand tracking and movement, and it really is more immersive, and hand tracking works pretty well in my experience, considering what it is, right? 4 cameras, it works pretty well. Next, I want to talk about Oculus Link, which is honestly a game changer. When the Quest first came out, we were talking about ALVR as a way to stream VR games, and I played a lot of No Man's Sky that way, and I'm surprised that I didn't hate it more. I think I was just tolerating it, if we're going to be honest. But the Oculus Link is pretty much a dream solution. I mean, I'm using the official Oculus Link cable, which is $80, so that's expensive. There are much cheaper solutions. I've tested cheaper solutions. They all seem to work pretty well, but with minimal artifacting, minimal streaming artifacting, you're basically playing your Oculus Quest as if it was an Oculus Rift or an Oculus Rift S. Your computer treats it as such. It's a little janky to set up, and it is still in beta, and it doesn't work on every video card, but in general, once it's working, and I was able to play all of Half-Life Alyx on an Oculus Quest, and it was an incredible experience. I have very few complaints about it. Oculus Link is a game changer for VR and for the Quest itself, and for Oculus as a company moving forward. So, in conclusion, like 1 year later, right, the Quest has proven itself as the future for VR. Tetherless into tethered gameplay, where you're tetherless without using a tetherless VR solution, totally portable. You can bring it to your friend's house and play games, but when you're in your office or by your desktop, you can make it a tethered VR experience and pull all the power of your PC to play incredible games like Half-Life Alyx. This is the Nintendo Switch of VR. It has solid hardware with a very strong software library. Minor quality of life enhancements would go a long way, and a minor refresh of the Oculus Quest. We're talking slightly better weight balancing, slightly better head strap, and slightly better audio. Other than that, there's not a whole lot that needs to be done with this hardware. I mean, this was tied with AirPods Pro for my personal favorite tech of 2019, and I bought AirPods Pro as an Android user, so that's just something to think about. Overall, the Quest is great, and I would highly recommend it. And that's all for this review, guys. If you like it, throw us a like. Let us know down below how you're feeling about the Quest, and I will catch you guys next time.